We're looking at residencies in the same module as grants, not because they're identical, but because the application procedures often have a lot of overlap. For a residency, you'll not only have to describe your own artistic practice, but you're also going to have to make a proposal of what it is that you're going to do while you're at the residency. In a lot of ways, it's the same as the project description for a grant. Find out about open calls on either the College Art Association's opportunity page or NYFA's source at nyfa.org. And then there are 4 websites that operate as clearinghouses for various artist residencies. Rivet.es seems to be the most comprehensive. Other reputable ones include artistcommunities.org, resartistes.org, and transartists.org, which is administered by the Dutch Cultural Association, which might explain why they chose such an interesting URL. Most residencies are going to be a wonderful experience, but there really isn't a lot of regulation over who can set up what they call a residency. So the first thing to look for is whether or not it feels like a scam. If they're charging you thousands of dollars for a small space that's hard to get to with expensive travel requirements, it's probably not worth it, even if they are technically a nonprofit. Make sure that you know whether you're applying for the live workspace, where you have both a place to sleep and a place to work, or if it's just a workspace. There are residencies that only provide the studio space, and you have to find a place to live on your own. Do they have the facilities that you need? If you're a printmaker, it doesn't do you much good to go to a residency that doesn't have a press. Some residencies will involve some sort of educational component. They'll be giving you workshops or demonstrations. They'll teach you how to use their equipment. And you also want to have an idea of what kind of community you want to be involved in. Do you want something that is focused just on the arts or just on craft? Do you want something that's also going to include other creative types like writers or filmmakers? How much are you going to be interacting with the other people, and who are they? Other things to look for: sometimes you'll have access to exhibition opportunities. Interacting with people, the special guests that they bring in, either as visiting critics or curators, or the people who might be leading workshops. All of these are networking opportunities that you might be interested in. The location is important, not only because you want to be comfortable, but because you might be able to piggyback the residency with some other career advancement opportunity. If your residency is in the Northeast, would you be able to rent a car and also visit galleries in New York or Boston? Sometimes a residency doesn't have a lot of these bonus issues, but is prestigious enough that it would be quite the feather in your cap to get in and attend, even if it's a little out of the way and you have no one to talk to. In fact, that might be a good thing. You'll get more done. Perhaps they have access to equipment that you don't normally have. This might be a good substitute for grad school, giving you a dedicated time and place to explore a new body of work without having to pay a huge amount in tuition. What are their expectations? Sometimes all they want you to do is show up and make the work. Other times they're going to ask you to be part of their teaching mission or to offer workshops. They might ask you to support their work in some other way, either by mounting an exhibition or gallery sitting. Many residencies are hoping that you will participate somehow in their community outreach. That could be as simple as just being willing to be in your studio on an open house night, or maybe they want you to actually go out into the community or participate in their marketing campaign, either by allowing them to reproduce your work or by having them film an interview and put it on their website. It's also somewhat common for the sponsor of the residency to ask for a donation of one of the pieces that you made while you were there. This is something you see a lot at national parks, where they will give you a time and a place to work and hope that you'll give them one of the drawings or watercolors that you made while you were there. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. It gives you another line on your resume that you were in the collection of, but you want to know that going in. There is a huge range of financing options at different residencies. Some of the most selective residencies will pay you, offer a stipend or an honorarium, or even just travel funds to allow you to get there. Other residencies won't pay you, but at least it's free for you to go there. Many organizations that offer residencies that charge will still have scholarships or other fellowships. If they aren't going to pay you and it isn't free, could you get a work-study position? Some residencies keep their costs low by asking the artist to perform a few hours of work each week. If none of those options are available, the question becomes, can you afford it? Having dedicated time and space might be something you're willing to pay for, especially if your life schedule doesn't allow you regular access to the studio. Beyond any residency fees you might have to pay, Other cost considerations that you want to think through include things like materials. Are you going to be able to travel with all the equipment and supplies that you need, or are you going to have to buy it there? Travel costs will be a major consideration. That free residency in Ireland might sound amazing until you price out transatlantic flights. Consider how long you want to stay at the residency. What is the correct length that justifies the effort of getting there, but doesn't keep you awake from work so long that you're going to be broke? Also, is your job going to let you go? And time away from your family is both the reason for a residency and a reason why it might not be a good idea. Residencies can be an amazing opportunity. In some ways, they offer all the good things about art school: facilities, a place to work, and the time and freedom to develop as an artist, without many of the bad things: angry professors and their unreasonable deadlines, or student loans. Consider the possibility of creating your own residency. One of my colleagues at Wichita State let people believe that he was off at a residency, when really the residency was his residence. He was working at home, but he had told people that he was going to a dedicated place to do work so that they would leave him alone for a few weeks at the beginning of the summer. It worked great. Everybody thought he was out of town, and nobody bothered him. He got a lot of painting done. You don't necessarily have to lie to people, and residencies are great, but even better is making sure that you're building a sustainable practice in your everyday life.